Alright, we are now 3 episodes into RWBY Volume 7, and it is time to hurl ourselves out of a dropship and plummet into that battle that is review, analysis, and criticism. Hi there everyone, welcome to Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And just before the current season premiered, I said that I would do a series of reviews every 3 episodes or so, and after watching the first 3 episodes, The Greatest Kingdom, A New Approach, and Ace Operatives, there is a lot to say and to dig into. And so the way that I'll structure this video is by first addressing the things within this season that I'm already very happy with, and then I will tear into the things that the season has already done that I am not too pleased with. And finally, I'll end it with some speculation given all the new information that we've received. I really want to dive into some theories that I have. So, starting off with the good stuff. I once said that the show had never really delivered episodes in the traditional sense of an episode encapsulating a single important moment or part of the story. And holy crow! This season is proving me totally wrong. Each episode has been a wonderfully contained moment of plot progression and character development, and they've also been sprinkled with all kinds of undertones of problems, both within Mantle and within Atlas, as well as Watts and Tyrion's evil intentions for the cities. Now, I know we still have 10 episodes to go, but so far the pacing has been incredible and keeping me on my toes. Another element of the season that I have to praise is the balance that has been struck between all of the characters, both old and new. By episode 3, we have to juggle at least 14 different characters within 17 minutes, and yet the writers have managed to get enough across for each character that even if you don't immediately remember their names, you can already pick out their characters and some of their quirks. Once again, if the episodes were a little bit longer, we could get more out of them, but oh well, I guess this is just the way that Rooster Teeth does its production. Still, there is an excellent blend of action and dialogue in this season, even if the second episode was a little dialogue heavy. Which brings me to another point that I enjoy about this season so far. The world building is incredible, and I'm not just talking about getting excellent details about the cities of Mantle and Atlas and their citizens, but also learning what Ironwood has been planning all along and how the world of Remnant is changing after the fall of Beacon. The way things are moving gives me the same feelings of awe as when I read an epic like the Stormlight Archive, or how others feel when reading or watching something like a Game of Thrones. And I like seeing how the characters are acting. I know some people might be upset that RWBY would keep back information from General Ironwood, but after the way Ozpin treated her and her friends, it's absolutely understandable. And do you really want to make some guy who looks like a loose cannon go berserk by finding out that there might not be a way to defeat Salem? But beyond that, we are also getting cute interactions, fun fight scenes, and the character arcs are mostly consistent, which is everything that I'm looking for in the beginning of a new season. Now, I will add this next bit here because it could be either good or bad, depending on how the show follows through with it. Let's address the elephant in the room here. Penny's return. This moment would normally have come after some build-up, usually around someone like Dr. Polendina and what he is all about, as well as also finding out more about the problems within the city of Mantle. However, much like Gravity Falls before it, the showrunners of RWBY have decided that the audience has waited long enough and is smart enough to know what is coming and gives us Penny sooner than we expected. But unlike Gravity Falls, there was no build-up within this season leading up to that reveal, as like we got with the reveal of the author of the journals within Gravity Falls. This is why it could be good or bad. By taking away all of that build-up and anticipation, they, meaning the showrunners for RWBY, must make Penny a much stronger presence within this season, and they must deliver on the greater plot threads they are currently weaving around the upcoming satellite and the rebels within Mantle. The culmination of these plot threads have to wow and satisfy us enough to justify jumping straight to Penny's return and depriving us of all of the build-up that we were expecting. Otherwise, they will have botched several great opportunities to deliver memorable and impactful moments. And I think this is why so many people really felt off about the first episode. It was so abrupt. The self-awareness from the characters was really hilarious, and I enjoyed the levity combined with the sense of unease around this whole setting and situation. It was a tricky combination to pull off, and I think that they actually did it. However, we did feel cheated of what should have been an even more touching reunion. So, like I said, they need to follow through and make what comes next be big. And Penny must become a larger part of this season. I can personally see her joining Jean's group so that we now have a P to finally spell Juniper once again. But only time will tell, so I'm reserving final judgment on episode 1 until we see how the rest of the season plays out. And once again, yes, episode 2 was dialogue heavy, but it was also necessary setup, and we got that awesome scene of Watts trolling around Mantle, and that was just phenomenal. I loved it. Now I come to the parts of the season that I am not entirely happy with. Episode 3 should have been titled Ship Baiting. Now, there is nothing inherently wrong with shipping, and the different ships within the RWBY fanbase have generated exquisite artwork and some great speculation. But it is the job of the story to naturally progress character arcs and allow for moments of romance where you want them. Now, who knows what will really come out of this? Frankly, I would not be surprised if the fan base is just getting baited. But the biggest disappointment here in episode 3 is that precious time was taken out of a fast-paced episode to give hearty winks and nods to the audience. It was just about as subtle as Rubius Hagrid hiding his favoritism for Harry. It was an episode that was generally entertaining but felt clunky and disjointed. Further evidence of this is when the episode slows down to provide a flashback of Ruby and Oscar. Why didn't this happen in episode 2? Or at the beginning of episode 3? You see, I've tried writing scenes like this before, where you stuff flashbacks or exposition into the action, and it usually doesn't work well. It hardly worked for a show like Naruto, and it definitely doesn't work for an action series like RWBY. I think that the next episode, Pomp and Circumstance, will finally give us the slice of life material that we've been needing, but I hope that they don't waste more time just giving heavy-handed hints. It's just annoying and time-consuming. My irritation with this particular dilemma was the inspiration for another video that I will be releasing next week. So if you care to hear that rant, please feel free to subscribe and click the bell for notifications. Finally, I want the action scenes to be just a bit bigger. Yeah, I know I said that I like the action, but just hear me out here for a quick sec. The potential danger in episode 3 with the Geist was fantastic, and the drill-like centipedes were good and creepy. But it all just felt kind of muddled. The balance between the characters was still good, but the action needed to be longer to complement all of these personalities. Otherwise, I really don't have too many complaints from what we've seen so far. We are still early in the season though, but I am optimistic. Which brings me to my theories, because now it's theory time! Let's tackle the one that stands immediately in the center of General Ironwood's plan to launch a satellite into space. Now, I've heard from some people that this might not jive with some of the world-building mechanics that have been put up earlier. But I'm just going to say, let's recline on this for a bit and see where things go. For me, the big matter at hand is not so much if the satellite's breaking world-building mechanics or not, but what Watt's plan is at this very moment. We are being led to believe that he's going to do something terrible within Mantle to cause chaos and bring down Atlas. I highly doubt, though, that this is necessarily the case. I think it is far more likely that Watts is preparing to take over Ironwood's new satellite. But for what purpose, you may ask? The same reason why Cinder stole into Ironwood's ship to hack into the mainframe, to disable the whole fleet. Can you imagine what kind of devastation could be wrought with a massive hack of all of Remnant's computers simultaneously when the satellite connects to them? Or perhaps Salem revealing herself to instill terror in the worldwide populace and summon hordes of Grimm to consume them? Or even better yet, planting a dangerous trap for when Atlas goes global, and then Watts can take over all of their armies and allow the Grimm to bring whole-scale slaughter to the world? The satellite is just too good of a device for someone like Watts to pass up on. So why then the business within Mantle? Tyrion himself says that he is shaking things up. Once again, we have a classic misdirect getting set up by the villains. It works so well to distract the good guys and even thin out their herd a little bit by getting them to fight someone else other than Salem's own henchmen. Why not get them to fight Mantle's liberators, these obviously Robin Hood and his merry men-like figures? This is where Cinder and Neo could also become a really fun addition to everything, by being an element of chaos that throws Watts and Tyrion off their game when they come to attack RWBY and her friends. There's a lot of possibilities here. My more tantalizing theory has to do with the same theory that I posted a video about some months ago, about how Pyrrha could possibly return within the series. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to do so, because I put into there a lot of details that will make my next claim sound much more plausible. We could very well get a setup for Pyrrha's return through the side plot with Oscar and Ironwood. It's clear from the episode A New Approach that General Ironwood is desperate for Ozpin's help, and maybe even a little bit for his approval. He knows now that Oscar will become the new Oz, and he did oversee the soul-transferring machinery that was used on the Fall Maiden back in Season 3. The duel between Oscar and Ironwood in the opening could be hinting at how the General hopes to awaken Ozpin in some way, whether that be through combat or through strategizing with Oscar, and he might finally resort to the aura technology from earlier. Not only would this be a brilliant way to bring out some drama and character development for these three individuals, Ironwood, Ozpin, and Oscar, but it would also serve as a setup for a potential Pyrrha return. Furthermore, something that got the gears in my head moving while I was watching the third episode, with all of its nods to ships both sailed and potential, and for crying out loud, Ren, just compliment Nora already, you can do it, man. The part that really caught my attention was when Jean looks down sadly at the remnants of Pyrrha's sash, and it got me thinking. This could either be a heartless tug on the audience heartstrings, or a nod that we shouldn't forget Pyrrha. But first of all, how could anyone forget Pyrrha? That precious cinnamon roll that was too good for this world was robbed from us in a way that still has some members of the fandom rocking with comforters in the dark corners of their room. But also, plucking your audience heartstrings just to milk some emotion is bad writing, and it just really was out of place. But by now we know how much Pyrrha means to Jean. If it wasn't evident from Season 3 all the way up until Season 6, I don't know what other kind of mallet I could hit you over the head with. For crying out loud, that moment with him standing before the monument in Argus, well, that was honestly beautiful and in many ways should have brought closure. And yet we still get this scene. Well, this is where the tinfoil hat theory comes on in. My theory video said that RWBY was laying a trail of breadcrumbs towards a potential return for Pyrrha. I could be overthinking it here, and I readily admit that, but that shot was just so throwaway and useless otherwise. The way I see it, threads are coming together for something big. And I still maintain that if, and I mean that it is a big if we're talking about here, Pyrrha returns, she will not be the way she was by Volume 3. I still think that she will manifest herself within Cinder Fall. How? Why? Go check out my much longer theory video on the subject. There is one other way for her to return, and that is all based on an important detail and offhand comment from Ironwood. But if you want me to tease out the potential theories revolving around that, and not just for Pyrrha, but also for a lot of cool stuff that could happen from it, please let me know. I'll compile the evidence and show you what kinds of horrors and blessings we might just get out of Atlas by the end of this season, if not the next. Okay, that will do it right now for my theorizing and my critique. Honestly, I'm just really looking forward to what else the show has in store for us. Personally, I think it feels really good to be a RWBY fan right now. Let me know what you think of this volume so far, and let me know what you think will happen in future episodes. And we will reconvene in the next 3 episodes for some more critique, analysis, and theorizing. And for you writers out there in the RWBY fan base, if you are looking for advice and help in improving your own writing, or if you just need some good laughs in your life, please hop on over to our podcast, Camille's Harem, found on Podbean, iTunes, and Google Play. We also have writing exercises for you to try out at our Pinterest page, and we would love to have discussions with you over at our own subreddit. Links for all of those sites are in the description. And you can also help us out with finding terrible fanfics to do epic readings of for your enjoyment by sending us links to them via our Twitter at Camille's Harem. And until the next video, y'all, I hope that you keep on enjoying RWBY, and tschüss.